Hello, this is High Templar with a new episode of my Total War Warhammer DLC analysis videos. And today I want to talk about Bretonnia's army. This will be the second part of the video that I've made yesterday. And the Old World edition is coming to us very soon for free. You will be able to download it, and it has many changes. And those changes were teased for us during the weekend on PC Gamer stream and on the Make War Not Love stream. And I've made some screenshots and I want to share with you what I have found and my analysis, what it will change for the multiplayer. So let's have a look. Firstly, let's have a look at King Llewellyn, who in here is mounted on the Pegasus. And I've made a comparison video, so you can see in the left side of the screen you can see his stats. And when I look at his stats right now, they are very similar. Obviously the charge bonus was changed a bit, but what we can see is pretty much the same, right? The leadership is higher, but not much changes for the Llewellyn, and we didn't really expect because he was pretty balanced. And he's actually not at his strongest in this battle, because this is a quest battle from the very beginning, and they said that he's not at his strongest at this very moment, but I assume it will be the same as in multiplayer. So this is for King Llewellyn, and then we have, well, the Damsel. And the Damsel, again, not much changes are there, and we don't really expect them. This is actually a Damsel of the Lore of Life, because there will be 3 Damsel variants at this very moment for the Bretonnia. The Lore of Heaven, which we've seen before, the Lore of Life, which you can see right now, and the Lore of the Beast, which is very interesting. These are actually very powerful lores of magic that were added to the Bretonnia. And this will be a huge change from what we know before. Right now, the Bretonnia, because they are getting those lores of magic, will be significantly more powerful just because of that. Lore of Heaven was pretty cool when you can use it correctly, but I don't think it will be as powerful as the Lord of the Beast or as powerful as the Lord of Life if used correctly. Alright, I know that is arguable, so I won't dwell on it. And the Damsel we've seen. Now the Peasant Bowmen. With the Peasant Bowmen there is a change, because Peasant Bowmen were changed. The most important thing that were changed is that we will be getting some new variants of Peasant Bowmen, and this will be visible in the building that I will show you later on. But these are just rank and fire bowmen, and I assume there are 2 different variants, and I assume one will be the fire arrows and one possibly poison arrows, even though poison would be very not very aligned with chivalry, but we'll have to wait and see. For the stats of the Peasant Bowmen, we can see right now that the missile damage was actually nerfed. The range stays the same, the leadership stays the same, the ammunition actually stays the same. In here they are slightly increased, so those guys are buffed at the moment. You can see a very small sliver of green right here. That means the Peasant Bowmen were nerfed probably to 19 missile damage from 22. That is a huge debuff. Even if it's 20 here and buff version 21, it is a 10% debuff. So there is a change, there is definitely a change. But they will still stay in the combat for the as long time. And actually, funny thing, I've noticed that their health is lower, because from 3900 to 3600, 350 less. So even though the leadership is the same, they will be dying sooner, they will be dealing less damage. Yeah, that's pretty much all. But it is significant nerf from what was there before. Then we have Men-at-Arms Polearms, which is another unit that we could see in this battle, and we know it from the game. It is already in a game, and as you can see, it was again a bit nerfed. So while the armor leadership stays the same, the melee attack here is 22 and defense is 40, whereas here melee attack is 26. And the weapon strength from 27 to 23. This is again a significant nerf, and I'm a bit surprised about this one, because Men-at-Arms Polearms in the current building tree is level 3 unit. So I don't know. I mean, their health was nerfed like a little bit, 1 HP per person. But it would seem that those units are getting nerfed a lot. Then we have some new units, and we will start from quite amazing Foot Squires. So there is 90 in the large, obviously 16 medium, and 120 in the ultra settings. And those guys have 70 armor, so significantly less than, say, greatswords. They do have significantly lesser stats of 25 melee attack and 20 melee defense, but they do have pretty nice weapon strength. It is again buffed here, but I assume it is pretty good. And the charge bonus of 24, which is actually more than greatswords. Obviously, I would not stack them against greatswords unless they will be charging in their back, because that would end very badly for them. But we do have armor piercing unit, anti-infantry unit that we could possibly use against weaker foes, against armored weaker foes. Then we have another new unit, which are Battle Pilgrims. Again, normal size of the unit, and they are actually pretty cool, because if you look at the stats, they are actually matching up to the foot soldiers, I mean swordmen, for the Empire. So we are getting a decent sword unit, and those guys have frenzy, so they will beat up the swordmen for the Empire. At least for this is what we can read from the stats, but I presume they will be able to beat the swordmen of the Empire. So this is pretty decent sword unit, which we haven't seen before. Both of those are actually sword units. We haven't seen that before. We haven't seen any anti-infantry unit other than cavalry for the Bretonnia. Then we will have Men-at-Arms, which is another unit. And obviously those guys are just peasants with swords. And they are significantly weaker than their Empire counterpart, and this is how it's supposed to be. They are just low-level guys, but they are still sword infantry that you can basically put against your enemy, and it will be an even fight. You will not lose like with the spearmen. Mind you, this was recorded on different stream where they had actually middle settings, so it shows 60 guys, but in fact on the large it will be 90, the same as before, and on the ultra will be 120. But like I say, significantly lesser stats, not much you can expect from those guys really. For the peasant mob, there is 80 of those guys, so in ultra there will be 160. But they are no goblins, they are more like zombies really. With 18 attack and 10 defense and 15 strength. Those guys, I have no idea what they are doing. I would just release them instantly, considering they actually have upkeep of 39 and the Men-at-Arms of 47. So don't see any logic of keeping those guys here. Really? Men-at-Arms Spearmen. Again, those guys are pretty similar to what we've seen in the Spearmen, but the Men-at-Arms Spearmen with shields that I can only show you because that was the only version that I can compare to, has actually significantly higher melee attack. I do assume shield is giving to the defense, so there's the difference between 30 and 38, but between 18 and 22 that we have right now, it's a difference. And again, weapon strength from 26 to 22, significant nerf. But I do assume they will keep the anti-large bonus, which is pretty high at the moment, 13 if my memory serves me well, and they will be a decent stopper for this cavalry. But nerf, nevertheless, those guys are... The Creative Assembly told us that they will be nerfing those guys because they are just too powerful right now, and they did, significantly so. So yeah, let's have a look at Grail Knights at the moment. The Grail Knights have a few things. Firstly, if you compare their stats, you will actually notice, and this is again on the middle settings. Sorry, this is on large settings, so this is perfect. They went from 110 armor to 80. Their health was nerfed, I mean, minusculely. So this is 4770 to 4680. Not much. It is a change, but not much. Leadership is actually boosted from what was there before, but melee attack and melee defense was tweaked. So now we have, instead of 38 melee attack, we have 40, and we have significantly less melee defense, by 10. So that means the Grey Knights used to be less tanky and now they are more squishy. For the weapon strength, there is a nerf, but we are getting anti-large. So this is only by 3, but getting anti-large for those guys is really good. At the same time, they keep the charge bonus of 82, which is amazing, and they get a Blessing of a Lady, which again makes them more tanky because additional 20% physical resistance is a lot. And there is another thing that you can see right here, and I will talk about it in a moment. But yeah, those guys are pretty cool. And the other thing that they have is they kind of have a rowdy, so they never get tired. And that's pretty cool for the cavalry units who have to do a lot of work on the battlefield, and elite units even better. So I do expect using them a lot, both in the multiplayer matches and in the multiplayer matches and in the campaign. And the longer they stay on the battlefield, the more valuable they will be because they will be fresh. And they were anti-large right now, so this is pretty cool again. Now, less powerful against dwarves and other things like that, mind you. Knights Errants is a new unit that we are getting, and this is very basic heavy cav. Very basic, with armor only of 75, which is a lot less than any Imperial. Leadership of 61, which is not great, but this is cav we are talking about, so you will have to... So they will not be running from the wounds. You will have to actually perform any scare tactics like flanking, hitting them in the back, shooting them with artillery and so on and so forth to actually make them run away. But they melee attack and defense 25 and 23 is pathetic, weapon strength of 30, charge bonus of 45. They are not good to anything except for the mass. Their mass is pretty cool. But what they do have, and what the most of the knightly units for the Bretonnia have right now, is the lance formation. And this is, again, pretty cool, taken from the tabletop, and this actually gives you acceleration and deceleration plus 50%, which doesn't change that much, but they have a charge speed of plus 24%, which gives them more physical impact. And they are already heavy cav, and plus 36 charge bonus, which is pretty cool. Again, they have slower speed, but with the charging speed plus 24% is cool. You just have to switch it at the proper moment, and the missile parry of minus 48%, so be watchful of that. If you are cycle charging, this is amazing thing. The additional acceleration and the acceleration will allow you to basically get out of the combat faster. Although wedge in most cases do, I mean, it's not the best formation to run away from the combat. It will have to be tested, but I think it might be a pretty cool thing. Then we have to look at Pegasus Knights. Pegasus Knights, again, there were some tweaks, but not much. So the only thing that was changed here, as you can see, is actually here. They are now anti-large, which is pretty cool for the normal rank and file Pegasus Knights. It is pretty cool. So they were actually strengthened because nothing was nerfed here. They have the same HP, everything, all stats the same, but added some additional anti-large. And this is cool because Pegasus Knights were not really that useful except for taking out lords. Maybe now there will be. Alright, so then we have Knights of the Realm, which is your bread and butter cavalry units that we've used before, and now they are probably costing more because there are significant differences in the stats. Now the armor was down from 100 to 80. Their stats, however, are significantly increased, the rest of the stats, like leadership by 5, and the melee attack and defense used to be 26 and 24, actually will be for 4 more days, but now 30 and 24, and they also have weapon strength of 37 instead of 30, and anti-large, and again the charge bonus from 56 to 68, and they have a lance formation which can increase it by another 36%. That will lead it to pretty much 100 charge bonus from your rank and file knights. Obviously those guys will be more expensive now. It would be silly if they would cost more than the Rice Guard, but it would make sense. Yeah, it would be silly if they would, because Rice Guard is supposed to be more elite than your rank and file Knights of the Realm. But if they cost 1100, that will be amazing unit for your battlefield, for your multiplayer, to take out all this cavalry. It also depends on the actual anti-large bonus. Right? Then we have another new unit that, again, this is middle settings, that should blow your mind, because they have a melee attack of 32, melee defense of 56, they have weapon strength of 33, they do not have, unfortunately, the anti-large or anti-infantry or anything like that, but the armor of 120 makes them extremely tanky unit. However, they do suffer from charge bonus of only 34 and weapon strength of only 33, so while tanky, they will be rather weak hitting basically, but they will stay in a combat for pretty much your entire game. And this is obviously highest ranking cav that you have there, and what you should be doing, you should be taking charge with this one and then flanking with another charge where for the other units that you have when you are fighting your enemy. Alright, because all your other units are very squishy. Now the Blessed Field Trebuchet is another interesting new unit, and we don't know much about it, but they do have magical attacks. They have, well, the same range, you would expect that. The missile damage of 228, and they do have magical attacks. So you should be very afraid if you, I mean your enemy should be very afraid if you are playing an eternal unit, and all those units that have additional physical resistance like forest spirits for the elves should be afraid of this particular weapon. Then we have another new unit that are Royal Hippogriff Knights. There will be 4 of them in medium, 6 of them in large and 8 in ultra. They are extremely expensive, as you can see. The upkeep for a single unit is 500 and they only have armor of 60. But they do have pretty nice stats. They do cause terror and fear, and they do have weapon strength of 114. And they are flying, obviously. So it is a powerful unit that you can use very nicely for some surgical strikes, but should not be staying in combat for very long, right? They actually have a decent health, but they are extremely expensive, and I would say they probably will be also extremely expensive in the multiplayer. And then we have Royal Pegasus Knights, which are like Pegasus Knights but on steroids. They have armor of 80, leadership of 70, but the melee attack is 42, and the weapon strength is 61, and there is another charge bonus versus large, and they do have Vanguard deployment, and yeah, those guys sounds like they are pretty powerful, right? Very hard on hitting the enemy with 60 charge bonus of 61 weapon strength and some anti-large capability, which anti-large, mind you, is armor piercing, so those guys will be packing quite a punch. And they cost only 320 upkeep, so that will make them probably cost around 1500 in the multiplayer, which is pretty cool. Then we have another new unit, that's our Questing Knights, and those guys have armor of 80, again, bit squishy. Funny enough, they have charge bonus of 42, which is quite a lot for the guys who don't have lances, but two-handed swords. Very decent melee attack and defense of 38 and 36. In general, those guys are pretty powerful and quite a punch, and they are armor piercing with weapon strength of 46. Highly recommend them. Highly recommend them. You few cycle charges and there is no Black Orcs or even the chosen units will be wiped out by those guys, right? The Field Trebuchet has the same range as before. You can see pretty much the same stats. This is what we have right now. This is what we have here. So the blessed one, the blessed Trebuchet, was dealing slightly more damage, and this one obviously has no fire or magical capabilities, so mind you that they will be better against dwarves. But then again, most dwarves units will be killed by one hit either way, so I'm not sure. Probably Field Trebuchets in the campaign will be outdated and we will be using only upgraded version. However, this upgraded version is available in the last building, so yeah, we will have to see. Wait and see. And finally, we have very cool unit, and this is Reliquary. The Reliquary is a buffing unit, similar to the Corpse Guard. If you've seen my video for the speculation for the Bretonnia, which I did a couple months ago, I was mentioning this unit, and yeah, it's pretty much a Corpse Guard. It's a bit more sturdy than the Corpse Guard because it has a blessing of a lady, and in general it is providing some bonuses like Icon of Devotion, which is constant self plus 16 to leadership and immune to psychology, which is pretty cool, effective range of 40. And they also have blessing on the lady, unfortunately only on themselves, but plus 20 physical resistance will help this unit that is already 5000 health keep them in a game for quite a long time. And this is pretty much all. Like I've mentioned, there will be more variants for the bowman, but I think I have actually covered pretty much any unit that was shown in those streams. And once the game will release, I will be able to show you some of the matchups and some of the mechanics videos and test them against the real armies in the Old War version, which might also do some update changes and change some of the strength of some of the units that we have already. So, general summary: the knights units, the cavalry units for the Bretonnia got more squishy. The infantry units that we know, like spearmen and men-at-arms polearms, got nerfed a lot. But we got some swords. The bowmen were nerfed. The Knights of the Realm got buffed a lot and they will be probably more expensive. You have more of variety. And what that means for the multiplayer? Well, recently in multiplayer you've seen Bretonnian armies that were solely based on the men-at-arms, polearms or spearmen. They have very little cavalry. And right now this will change because they will be just too weak. They were disproportionately strong because the roster for the Bretonnia was very small. Now the roster was fleshed out. And those guys will be much less effective in holding the line. And you will have to, because they are more squishy and your knights are more squishy, you will have to make proper charges to destroy your enemy, flank your enemy and hit them from behind with your cavalry and cycle charge a lot. This will also mean that campaign will be pretty hard because you have limited number of peasants. You can get either men-at-arms, polearms or the swords or the bowmen. I assume squires are nobility. I mean, squires should be nobility, so they are not knights yet, but they are no peasants, so they will not measure against the counter. But still, you need to have a line of something that will hold your enemy, and this line will be very brittle. That means you will have to use a lot of cavalry units, and because you will be using lots of cavalry units with high charge bonuses mostly, you will have to charge a lot, a cycle charge. The better you are getting at cycle charging, the better job you will be doing. So for me it will be a nightmare, much like playing the Wood Elves, but you know, Wood Elves, not Arguelon. Lots of micromanagement, lots of things when things can go wrong very fast. You screw up one charge and your knights are very squishy, you will be losing them very fast, and you will have to be very careful of that. What will be your advantage is another thing that was always advantage for the Bretonnia is flying units. You will have more of them right now and they will be more powerful and you will be able to use them. But you will have to watch every second and it will be easy to win but also easy to lose. As for the multiplayer, I feel like they will be slightly underpowered. Yes, there will be more options, but mind you, so far Bretonnia was a very powerful faction because of the strength of those peasant units. Now, when they were significantly nerfed, your cavalry might not be enough to basically win that, because your enemy will be knowing that and they will be getting a hell lot of anti-cavalry units. And that might be a problem for the multiplayer. We'll have to wait and see when the meta will actually settle for those guys. But I'm open for some suggestions and I'm actually excited to try them out during the first day and see how they will perform. And this is it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. I do mod reviews, mechanics videos, and these analysis and speculation videos, but I also do let's plays in Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.